Very good evening and welcome to the new session of Pre-Med Pro. So we are continuing the chapter of molecular basis of inheritance in our lecture. So we're going to continue with the lecture number 2. On this we'll start from the DNA, the very basic and the genetic important topic as well as our genetic material, the DNA. Okay, it's not the DNA but RNA can also be called as genetic material, but DNA is more stable than the RNA. I'll say it in my explanations also. So let's start with the DNA. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. Deoxyribonucleic acid. In deoxyribonucleic acid, by the name you already understood that it is acidic substance. It is an acidic substance. Okay, acidic substance. Identified by Friedrich Mischer. Friedrich Mischer. Where it has been discovered? It has been discovered in the nucleus. In the year 1869. Okay. So DNA contains It's a nucleic acid. It's nucleic acid made up of many nucleotide. So a DNA is made up of nucleic acid and are also made up of nucleotide. Okay. So what do you mean by the word nucleotide? Try to understand the meaning of every word. If you understand the meaning of every word, then the MCQ will become more easy. Okay. Nucleotide contains 3 substances, that is N2 base, that is nitrogenous base, is pentose sugar. Pentose, why? The sugar that is contained in the nucleic acid is made up of 5 carbon rings. Okay, the 5 chain carbon made up of this sugar is called a pentose sugar. Okay, and another is phosphate. Okay, so in the nitrogenous base contains 2 substances. One is pyrimidine, and another is purine. So purine and pyrimidine. Purine is made up of adenine, and one is guanine. Adenine and guanine is made up of DNA and RNA. And pyrimidine is made up of cytosine, DNA, RNA, thymine contains only DNA, and uracil made up of only RNA. Okay. So the nucleotides consist of purine and pyrimidine. Nucleotide consists of nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. So nitrogenous base consists of 2 things. One is purine and another is pyrimidine. Purine are adenine and guanine, while the pyrimidine are cytosine, thymine, uracil, all are these. Okay. Now we come to the next part in the sugar. I have completed the nitrogenous base. Now the sugar. Sugar consists that I called it pentose sugar because let me draw it. OH, CH2, hydrogen, hydroxyl group, OH, here H, here hydrogen, here also hydrogen. Okay. Now 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, 4 carbon and the 5th carbon. Okay, this is a structure of, this is, here oxygen is absent, here oxygen absent, and this deoxyribose, that is the DNA. Okay, and this is without oxygen, okay, that is why it is called deoxy. Next, the phosphate group, and I want to draw one thing, another is ribose. One carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon, 4 carbon and 5th carbon is here, and this is called ribose because here it is oxygen is here, presence of oxygen. Okay, now the next one is the ribose, the phosphate, OH, P, OH, O, OH, or O negative, phosphorus, single bond O negative, that is O anion, oxygen ka anion, double bond O, and here another is O anion, or it can also be phosphorus, hydroxyl group, cation, anion, here also it will be anion and double bond O. Okay, these are the 3 structures of the phosphate group. Now we come to the next part. So in the next we come to the nitrogenous base. Nitrogen into base. Nitrogenous base consists of, first come to purine. What are the 2 purine bases? Is adenine and guanine. So it's purine. Now purine comes up to organic structures. So let me draw it first. Carbon, double bond nitrogen, single bond hydrocarbon, double bond nitrogen, here single bond carbon, double bond carbon, and here single bond nitrogen. This carbon bond single bond with nitrogen, double bond with hydrocarbon, single bond with nitrogen, single bond with nitrogen. Here this carbon also single bond with nitrogen. Now what happens? Now what happens? Let me number it first. This is the 1 carbon, this is 2, this is 3 bases, this is 4, and this is 5, and this is 6. Okay, and now this is the 7th one, this is the 8th one, and this is the 9th one. Okay. So it's structure of adenine. It is given on your NCERT. It is the structure of adenine. It's a purine base. Another structure of guanine, another purine base. Let me draw it. Guanine. Again, same carbon, double single bond, hydrogen and nitrogen, single bond, carbon, double bond, nitrogen. Here single bond, carbon, double bond, carbon, single bond, nitrogen. This double bond carbon is singly bonded with nitrogen and doubly bonded with hydrocarbon. And this one singly bonds with nitrogen, this one also singly bonds with nitrogen. Now this carbon has a amine base, that is NH2. Now let it call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, this is the structure of guanine. These are the two purine bases. These are the two purine bases. These are the two purine bases. Okay, these are the two purine bases. These are the two purine bases. Now comes to the pyrimidine. Now come to pyrimidine. Okay. Pyrimidine. Come to pyrimidine. What I have said, which bases are pyrimidine? Cytosine, uracil and thymine. So let me draw it first. Pyrimidine. It's nitrogen amine group, singly bonded with nitrogen, singly bonded with carbon, double bonded with nitrogen, single bonded with carbon. This carbon is doubly bonded with oxygen and singly bonded with nitrogen. And here this carbon is singly bonded with hydrocarbon and double bonded with hydrocarbon and singly bonded with nitrogen. Now this is called cytosine. And the structure of thymine, oxygen double bond with carbon, single bonded with single bonded with H, N3H, and this N single bonded with carbon, double bonded with oxygen, single bonded with nitrogen, single bonded with carbon, double bonded with carbon, hydrogen, and single bonded with nitrogen. This one is CH3. Thymine. It is 5-methyl uracil. 5-methyl uracil. And now comes to oxygen double bonded with carbon, single bonded with NH3, double bonded with single bonded with carbon, double bonded with oxygen. Now nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen, double bonded with carbon, hydrogen, single bonded with nitrogen. It is called uracil. Okay. So you just remember the overview of the structure, because I think one time it came into the Neet examination or AIPMT. These all are heterocyclic compound. Heterocyclic compound. Single ring. And the third one is the nitrogen first, third. Okay, first and third compound is nitrogen. Okay. Now we come to the next part. It's nucleotide and its bonding. Give the rating. Nucleotide and bonding. It's made up of adenine, guanine. These are all purine bases. It's purine. Carbon, NH2, nitrogen, carbon. This structure doesn't generally come, but as I have to teach it, I must need to draw it. Single bond with nitrogen, hydrocarbon, nitrogen. Yes. Okay. This is the structure of adenine base. Adenine base. Okay. Now this here, another hydrogen is bonded with OH group of this structure. Okay. Here, let me draw it. The ribose sugar. Here, it's like it. Okay. This is OH CH2. OH CH2 binds with hydrogen, and here it binds with hydrogen, and one side hydrogen, another side oxygen. Here it is hydrogen and hydrogen, and here OH group is there, and this pole consists of hydrogen. Now here one hydrogen attached with this nitrogen gets clouded with this oxygen OH group, hydroxyl group, and thus makes it deoxyribose sugar. Now this hydroxyl group also binds with phosphorus, double bond O, single bond OH, here one O negative and here O negative. This is a phosphate group. These two makes a bond. Okay, this two hydroxyl group makes a bond. So when the bond is made, it both converts to this, see, this one gets converted to phosphodiester bond is been made. So what will happen here? Here a phosphodiester bond, as and when is made, it will make H2, single bond carbon, double bond nitrogen, hydrocarbon. This one is carbon, double bond carbon, single bond nitrogen, nitrogen, double bond hydrocarbon, nitrogen. Okay, now what happens? 1, 2. Now what happens? This one, yes, this carbon, this nitrogen. Here I have to draw one pentose sugar, oxygen. This is the pentose sugar. Okay, here H2, H. This nitrogen makes a bond. This nitrogen makes a bond with this hydrogen. Okay, there is a bond in between them. Hydroxyl group, and here hydrogen and hydrogen. Okay, now what happens? Here are 4 carbon group and the 5th one is here. Now what happens? Here one phosphate group also gets attached. Here one phosphate group gets attached. Okay, now what it makes? It makes a phospho monoester bond. It creates phospho monoester bond, and this one is in glycosidic bond, in glycosidic bond. Sugar, first carbon, sugar first carbon, and base, 9th. So it's of 1 to 9th. 5th carbon, that is the pentose sugar. 3rd carbon, OH group. Now what happens? Okay, so if the question comes, if a 200 nucleotide contains how many number of bases? Base, it will be 200. Phosphate group 200. If it's a 200 nucleotide, base 200, phosphate group 200, and glycosidic bond, it is also 200. Okay, so now take a note. What does the DNA contains? It is very important. DNA, base, sugar, makes nucleoside. When the nucleoside adds with phosphate, it makes nucleotide. Okay. If the base is adenine, If the base is adenine and the sugar is deoxyribose, that means lack of oxygen, the nucleoside will be deoxyadenine. When the phosphate is added plus phosphate, it will make AMP. That is adenosine monophosphate. Adenosine monophosphate or deoxyadenosine AMP. Deoxyadenosine monophosphate. Or deoxyadenilic acid. Deoxyadenilic acid. Second, it's guanine. We have said deoxyribose, deoxyguanosine plus phosphate, it will create deoxyguanosine, it will make deoxyguanosine. If it is thymine plus deoxyribose, it will make deoxythymine plus phosphate group will make deoxythymidine. And the last one is cytosine plus sugar, deoxycytosine, and when it reacts with phosphate or binds with phosphate, it forms deoxycytidine or CMP. So I will start the RNA from the next video. Till today I have completed a brief account of DNA. More will be illustrated and more will be explained on this chapter, but I am going as per with the NCERT. I am not jumping any topic, I am just going par with NCERT. Okay, so please go through it, and if you find any difficulties, please write it in the comment box, and please subscribe and share and like this channel and stay with us. Good night.